back to the Hardcore Hotline. Today we are talking to Caitlin Henry from a band called Eat Your Heart Out. They have a new album titled Can't Stay Forever, and it is out on September 9th. It's from Fearless Records. Caitlin, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm well. It's early. I'm
Yeah.
still kind of, waking up a little bit, but thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited to be here.
excited. That is a word that we hear never. Now, it is in the future. You live in the future because we're here in the United States where we're based, but you live in the future. What is the future like? Is there flying cars? Is it
Um,
cool?
yeah, it's like pretty cool. I would say like don't get too excited.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's there's still a lot of issues. The
Uh,
flying cars are cool,
uh-huh.
but there's still,
The
there's
other
still a lot of
stuff.
problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, I am looking forward to my flying car, definitely. All right, so I do have to say, you're probably the most popular artist we have had on here, and you're also the first woman we have had, which says a lot about the music industry. How do you feel about these accomplishments so soon into this interview?
I mean, if anything, it makes me just feel kind of bad for your interview,
Yeah,
for your,
yeah.
for the hotline that
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
the most famous person you've had.
Yeah,
I feel like that
thank
says
you.
maybe more about you than about me.
It does, yes. Thank you. I appreciate that sympathy. We feel it all the time. Thank you so much. Talking about your new album, there is a single out now called 20 something. That came out like yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit about this track?
It's a track that we wrote about this time last year, actually. It's written about a year ago.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of just about being in your mid 20s and sort of questioning every decision you've ever made. Um, you see all these, your mid 20s is such a weird time. You see all these people around you, and like half of them have children, and like
Hmm.
half of them are like buying a house. And you're like, I go get in a van with four or five sweaty men and
Yes.
drive around the world essentially.
Hmm.
And you're like, like, is that cool?
Yeah.
What am I
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. I mean, taken out of context, driving around in a van with five sweaty men does sound a bit strange, but at the same time, who in their mid 20s didn't do that? I mean, let's be
Yeah.
real, for sure. I think it's interesting with this song and with this album, it talks a bit about what it means to be kind of a grown-up. Would you say that I'm on the wrong track there, or would you slightly agree?
I would, yeah, I would somewhat agree.
Yeah.
I feel like uh I feel like we've never intentionally written like a record about, growing up or anything, but it always seems to be each record is kind of like a snapshot of that phase in time.
Hmm.
Which we're always growing and evolving. So they kind of always end up being a little bit about like, growing up in some way. So in this instance, it was kind of like growing into your mid 20s, but also factoring in losing 2 years of your life to sitting in the house. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a weird one where it's like, so I was in my early 20s and now all of a sudden I'm in my mid 20s,
Hmm.
and I'm like, what? I didn't do anything though. Where did the
Right.
time go?
Yeah, yeah, that's actually a really interesting perspective because I think a lot of us, no matter how old you are, you did lose 2 years of your life. And I know Australia was pretty serious during the pandemic. We pretended like nothing was happening over here. We had like 2 weeks of like, all right, everyone, stay in your house. But then after that, we were like, you can
Yeah,
leave.
don't worry
It's
about
fine.
it.
Don't
Yeah.
worry. It doesn't exist. That's how we think about a lot of our problems here in the US. But so how did that affect you as a band? I mean, you talked a little bit about how it's changed your songwriting, but how did that change, I guess, how you thought about the trajectory of your band or where you wanted to go with it or anything like that?
Kind of it changed everything in a way. Like we had, some plans in 2020 like touring plans and stuff that fell through. We had planned to make like just to record a single or something before going into the new record in 2020. So we kind of had all this stuff like laid out to do, and then all of a sudden that was all put on hold, and just having that real like in not indecisiveness, but just unknowing of what was going to happen, and like it became really hard to plan.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but it, I think, in a way, like as much as it was really frustrating, it kind of worked out for the best, I suppose, because we did have more time than we anticipated to write the record and get ready for the record. Because for our last album, like our debut album, we were horrendously unprepared, and we did not want to make that same mistake again. Um, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise in that way, where it actually did give us, you know, that extra time. But yeah, it definitely was weird, and I feel like in a way as well, it gave us a bit of time to like rebuild some of the relationships in the band and like reassess some of the you know, relationships in the band. Like coming out of the pandemic, we've
Hmm.
had a member change. Like Andrew has stepped back from the band, which I think is, we're obviously really really sad to see
Hmm.
him
Hmm.
step down, but I guess just having that time like helped him to make that decision.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
and yeah, I feel like we came out of it with feeling maybe a little bit more motivated and with a bit more direction even than before the pandemic, because we were like, this is definitely what we want to do. Like I feel like it could have gone one of either way. Like I think a lot of bands were like, oh, you know what, actually I don't
Yeah.
really want to do this.
Yeah,
Like
this
now that
sucks.
I've
I don't
had
want to
time
do
away,
it.
yeah, yeah, I've realized this sucks. But then a lot of other bands, which we are one of, were like, oh wait, no, like I feel like I'm dying without this. Like
Hmm.
this is the only thing that gives me life,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like really like reaffirmed, like let's go hard because there's nothing else.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that we as a hotline we've come across a lot of bands who think the same way. Some of them we also agree they should have stepped back and said that they suck and not been a band any longer. But a lot of them they really wanted to continue to strengthen whatever musical abilities they thought they had. And for you guys, it seems like it worked out, especially because now you have your new album, which, according to you, it is way better than your last album. Your last album sucked. I didn't say it, you said it. But 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 uh, but it does have two singles
I
out.
don't disagree.
You heard it here first. Last album sucked. Get the new one instead. Um,
Yeah.
But so there are actually two singles on this album. The other one is called Sour. And if these two songs had to battle it out, which one would win? We already know that the new album would definitely win over the last one. But with the new singles, which one would win?
Okay. So Sour versus 20 something.
Yes. Hmm.
I feel like Sour would win because they both sound fairly you know, poppy, a little bit, you know, chill, whatever on the
Hmm.
outside. But I feel like when you delve more into Sour, it's a little bit more like spiky. I feel
I
like it has a little bit more, like it has teeth, whereas 20 something's just kind of like, oh,
it's a
I'm a bit lost.
yes, yes. 20 something is the song that you would hear in the prom scene at the end of one of those early 2000s teen rom-coms. And
Yes.
Sour is the song that the rebel girl would be listening to before, of course, the jock turns her into a cool girl.
Of course,
Um,
she takes her glasses off and then she's really pretty. They're like, oh my god, where
Absolutely.
have you been?
That's why we don't take off our glasses. We need to stay ugly and homely. If people weren't able to tell, you guys are from Australia, which is why we have a beach with kangaroos on the back and a disappearing chair. So for our listeners, Australia is the country where Crocodile Hunter is from. Remember him? He was fun, right?
Yeah.
That's a country. Or is it a continent? I think it's both. So have you had a chance? I wasn't able to look at your past tour schedule, but have you had a chance to tour outside of Australia?
We have toured the US and the UK and Europe.
Mm. What was your least favorite place in the US?
Mm, to be honest, I didn't really vibe Salt Lake City. I'm sorry to anybody from Salt Lake City.
I don't think
The
anyone is from
people,
Salt Lake City. It's fine.
okay, great.
Yeah.
The people that we met there were lovely, but I just, I just didn't really. It was a weird vibe. Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite for me.
That's understandable. I don't think that you probably have a place that you like in the US because of who we are as a people. But what was another place that you did like to tour in?
Um, I didn't hate Portland.
Oh,
I
well,
Yeah,
that's considered like a cool place.
yeah,
I don't think they like to think that they're a part of the US. I think they're trying to secede.
that's fair. Yeah, they're just like, we're out of here. We're gonna disconnect and float away. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
we don't need to be part of this.
yeah, for
That's fair.
sure.
Well, that's probably why I liked it so much.
More than likely, we agree. So, I do have to ask, how annoying is it to be compared to Paramore?
I mean, when I was younger,
Hmm.
it was more annoying.
Right.
Um, I I think just when you're younger, it's like a knee jerk reaction to be like, Paramore,
Hmm.
how dare you?
Yeah,
But it's like
yeah.
realistically, I love Paramore. Who doesn't love Paramore?
Who
They're a
doesn't
great
love
band.
Paramore?
And I feel like, oh, I've got a visitor here.
A
He
visitor.
doesn't like Paramore. He's
Ugh,
come to tell me that he
how
dislikes Paramore.
dare you? He's
My
showing his
thing is,
disdain.
yeah, okay, that's
Put that
enough.
cat in a pit. That
Yeah, he
cat will
would
throw
wreak some
down.
havoc. But yeah, I feel like as we've gotten older, like it's not. It's like, yeah, I love Paramore. Paramore are a great band. Um, you know, if you think that we sound like Paramore or could live up to any semblance of Paramore, like I think that's a compliment, really, because they're a fantastic band.
Mhm.
Um, and we do make, like alt rock music that's a bit emo-y. It could be fairly adjacent to some Paramore. So
Yeah. So
I, yeah, I'm fine with it now. When I feel like when we were younger, it was kind of like, ugh, the original. But now I'm like, you know what? You're
why
probably not
not?
too far off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, with that said, are you kind of actually mad that they're back because you were hoping to take their place? Because as we know, in the music industry, there can really only be one alt-rock band with a female lead singer. That is a genre, female lead singer, in case anyone forgot.
Yeah, you're right. It's a very small genre. There is
Mhm.
only room for one. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was personally really gunning for that pop punk queen crown.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now that they're back and they've said they are making sort of alternative music again, I honestly am considering throwing in the towel.
Like you said, there can only be one. Uh, But maybe, you can dye your hair red or orange or whatever she did back then, and people won't be able to tell you apart. And it'll be great.
You're right. Like, yeah, a little bit of deceit.
Yeah.
That could be it. They're like, I think I'm going to see Paramore tonight. Surprise, it's Eat Your Heart Out. But they
Surprise.
won't know the difference.
They will
Once I've
not
got
know.
orange hair,
They will be
it'll be
like,
exactly the same.
they'll be like, this is the new Paramore album. And then they'll tell their friend that they had heard this already because they'd heard a leaked version, and their friends will believe them. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good plan.
I think it's a great plan. As soon as we get off this call, I'm going to dye my hair orange,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
kick this plan into gear because I think this
Yes.
is it.
I think this is your in. So I know we talked about your music already being in a early 2000s teen rom-com, but if your music could appear in any movie or TV show of your choosing, which would it be and why?
This is a tough one. Honestly, like if Netflix wanted to pay me to put the song in any of their TV shows, I wouldn't say no. They could put it on the most garbage, like, D grade film. If they want to give me some of that sweet Netflix money,
The Netflix money runs deep. They keep saying that their profits are going down because people are sharing passwords.
but maybe if like Stranger Things did like a time jump to the current day and then they used one of our songs.
Okay,
Because right now
okay.
I feel like Stranger Things is the vehicle for viral music.
It's the place to find new music that's also old music.
Exactly. So I mean, people say our music has a nostalgic edge. Maybe if Stranger Things finds itself in the 90s, they could pretend one of our songs came out in the 90s and use it.
Anyway, all right, Caitlin, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Is there anything else you would like our callers to know?
Just that we've got a new record called Can't Stay Forever coming out on September 9th through Fearless Records. We're very excited about it. Hopefully, you will also feel excited about it and go ahead and pre save it because that helps a lot. And then when it's out, listen to it many, many times.
Yes, and if you don't, that means you hate women. So I don't make the rules.
Yep.
But if you don't, then it means you hate women. All right, thank you for joining us again on the Hardcore Hotline, and we'll see you next time.